your introduction for your research. So first off, we go to our ever reliable Google Scholar. As I've told you individually and in class, Google Scholar is not the only resource where we get our researches. We can also use Science Direct and Elsevier and all those stuff, even Mendeley for desktop. And I would like for you to take a look at the upper left bar here in the menu, just right above the Google Scholar, and click it. Please pay attention to the link called metrics and click it. You are then brought to this page where you would next click the view top publications. This is specifically for those who have not yet chosen their topic. Now, the next thing you will do is click on the search bar located at the top right of Google Scholar and search for publications. And then you can just scroll down, and if you will notice, this list is according to the Hindex, which is practical and useful for those who want to be cited. While this is not important for graduating students like yourselves, in the academic community, especially in the international scene, this is very important for them. The higher the index, the higher your chances of being cited, and the higher the popularity of your research. So what I did here is to search for management. You can also search for accounting or investment or whatever you want, and then just try to click one. Remember that you are searching for the title of a journal. What comes out next are the most popular topics in the journal that I clicked, which is the Journal of Management. As you can see, the ones with the highest citation metric is the corporate social responsibility. What you will do next is either you will try to click it or try to find some other things that may interest you as a researcher. Now, this is an alternate way to search for free articles online. So in the search bar of Google Scholar, you will just put Journal of Management, which is the journal that I chose, and then look for the topic that you have chosen. In this case, I put CSR activities. So the search word that I chose was Journal of Management, CSR activities. And then what comes out are articles along those lines. So the next thing that you will do is to click this PDF link, hyperlink, that will bring you to the online article. Okay, to start with the introduction, just a reminder that you should not go on defining terms as if the reader does not understand what you're talking about, especially if what you're defining is very easy to grasp. For example, if your topic is about social responsibility, while you may be tempted to define what social responsibility is, it is still best to use an operational definition based on leading authors or research that's done already in the net or in Google Scholar for that matter. You can't go on like quoting Merriam-Webster or investing.com and all that, because remember, when you introduce, you are actually introducing a topic and why it is important for you as a writer. So the thing that you have to do is to introduce why you think your topic is important, right? But you can't start that way, right? So maybe you can start by saying, in the case of social responsibility, one thing that you can do is to start by the corporate social responsibility is, an activity or a set of activities that most companies do in order to engage their employees, right? And then maybe you can throw off a definition but by a leading author or something, and then next paragraph you will proceed to another thing. The first paragraph that you will start your introduction is the most critical part of your research. In fact, just like any other story, if you start good and well, then the rest of the story follows, in a similar fashion. So you have to invest time and effort on how you will start the introduction, because most of the times people just look at your introduction for 10-20 seconds and then they move out. If they don't like what you put in your first page, your very first paragraph, even the very first sentence, then you lose sight of everything. For example, in this article that we got, the author started with the definition of social responsibility, I think. But look at the way they started the paragraph. They did not loosely define social responsibility, but went right into putting forth many definitions that were raised by leading authors on CSR. And they raised up the definition of Kotler and Lee, which mentions CSR as a commitment to improve well-being through discretionary business practices and contributions of corporate resources. So the way you start your paragraph or introduction will be reminiscent, will more or less dictate the whole cadence, the whole idea of the whole story that you're going to talk about. So it is really critical for you to start your topic, your research, with a very good introduction. So for example, if your topic is about customer satisfaction or employee engagement and all that, sure, you can start with an operational definition as given by leading authors, but the way you choose the kind of definition is, as I said, the way the whole story, the whole thesis will proceed. So if you, for example, use the definition of utilization of your resources, of the resources of the company, in order to define social responsibility, then you can divert the definition in the second paragraph by saying, for example, that, well, human resources is also a resource. So by defining CSR as utilization of the company's resources, you proceed in the second paragraph by the fact that human resources is also resources. So CSR also involves sharing people. So as I made mention in class, I think the most important thing here that you must understand is the whole introduction phase is, it's like telling a story. It's like telling a story to your younger brother, your younger sister. Do not assume that he or she doesn't understand what you're talking about, but do not assume also that he or she understands it. So the way you proceed is a slow, uh, bit by bit, step by step, phase by phase understanding of your topic. Another thing that you must bear in mind is not to digress too much. Not to prolong a an explanation on one side while forgetting the other side. Remember that you only have around four to maybe maybe make it 5 to 7 paragraphs in order to start and close the whole introduction phase. You can't go longer than that. So you have to plan out ahead with your partner. What am I going to do? What am I going to share in the introduction? How am I going to let it flow? Without a good planning of the introduction, then it doesn't count for anything. A way to plan the introduction is to list down like 4 or 5 or 6 things that you want to talk about in the introduction, and make those 4 to 6 things be representative of each paragraph. So I mean, if you listed down around 5 or 6 things, then surely your introduction will have 5 or 6 paragraphs. So for example, you put there in the first paragraph, I'm going to quote an operational definition of my topic, whatever it is. All right, and then I'm going to piece together all the next paragraph. I'm going to piece together the variables of my study, but in a subtle way. Remember that you are just introducing, so there's not much quotation of related literature. You can still cite authors and articles, but don't do it so much in the introduction. There are a lot of debates in how to do your introduction. One teacher would say it's okay to quote resources from other articles, but then some teachers would say it's not, let's not put those things there, let's put it in the literature. For me, the introduction phase should, as I said, be a place where the researchers try to understand why the research is good in the first place. Why am I going to do this research? And of course, you can't say there that I'm going to do this because if I won't do this, then I won't pass fourth year or I won't graduate. So it has to be a meaningful flow of thought. Like first paragraph, I'm going to talk about inflation rate and why it is important for management accounting student. Second paragraph, I'm going to talk about the things that that are associated with the inflation rate, like rising prices and maybe unemployment and all that. Number three, I'm going to move from that to GDP and why inflation is something that is thought of as like a nuisance or something, because when the prices are going up, then the economy is also in a bit of a shaky situation and all that. So you proceed from thought to thought in trying to introduce the idea of your introduction. So in the example of one classmate of yours in MA, if the topic is all about OFW remittances and the inclusion of some other macroeconomic variables, if that topic is focused on or centered around OFW remittances, then you can start by a data that is very much understood by all, that the economy of the Philippines is greatly influenced and greatly helped by the OFW remittances. But don't forget to put numbers. Okay, you can throw numbers like around $100 billion, of course, if that is the correct data, is being sent worldwide from 100 or so countries to the Philippines by the so-called new bayanes or new heroes, quote unquote. So, but this one has to be cited. Uh, so the way you cite that is maybe through a news article or some reports from the government, like tourism reports, something like that. So it's good to start with data, with numbers, because it makes your introduction very reliable, and it sounds formal and official, right? And then when you start that way, then the second paragraph could be uh, the known effects, at least in your own perspective, of what is the direct result of OFW remittances. Of course, one direct result is the influx of foreign denominated investments in the country, dollar reserves, and the strengthening of the currency of the peso. And you can immediately proceed from there to another aspect, which is the strong economy of the country, which results really from the influx of these funds. So as you move from thought to thought, then you have to lay down your propositions very well. As much as possible, you have to talk about one topic only at one topic only at a time as you proceed from paragraph to paragraph. So again, as I said, please bear in mind that this introduction can only be perfected through continuously writing and pouring out your thoughts. Please bear in mind that you cannot proceed with the introduction without a good plan in your mind. You cannot just throw in words without meaning. You have to get data. You have to put your understanding there. And finally, as you accumulate thoughts in the intro, the most important thing is how to end the introduction. You cannot proceed uh, paragraph to paragraph, and then by the time you reach your ending of the intro, then it's already 10 pages. That can't be, right? You have to know where to end. The way to do it is to, again, as I said, plan it out. When you reach a point where you are sure that you have already understood everything, you have already exhausted all your thoughts about why the topic is important, not only for you as a student, as a practitioner of business and management accounting, but also for the country in general. Then if you already reach that point that you can tell yourself, okay, I'm already done, I can already end this intro, then you can put something like, and this is the reason why the researchers are doing this research. Okay, but you can't end all your intros that way, right? But put that in a subtle way towards the end of the last paragraph. So for example, my topic is all about cryptocurrency. Start with cryptocurrency being democratization of funds, transfer from individuals to individuals, uh, getting rid of the rising prices and the rising charges of the banks. And then you can proceed by saying Singapore is already doing it in most of the advanced countries, and this is important. The next paragraph would be, this is important, especially in a very active stance in the online community, blah blah blah. And then towards the end, you have already exhausted everything. Then you can insert some thoughts about, this is important because as a management and accounting student, it is important for me to know about this because I might work in Singapore, or I might work in a company that does cryptocurrency. This is important for me, blah blah blah. Towards the end, you have to subtle, in a subtle way, you have to end the intro by putting similar words to, and this is the reason why we're doing this. This is the reason why we are studying this research. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something about the introduction. But as I've said already in this piece and several times in class, you cannot understand what I'm trying to say here if you don't start doing it. So you have to start doing your article, doing your introduction. It's okay if you make a mistake. Everybody does make a mistake. So just put it there, submit it in the LMS. I'm going to make comments there. I already did to one person today who was very active in submitting her introduction. But it's okay to commit mistake because that's the way you learn, right? So when the intro goes back and forth to me, from me to you, and from you to me, then it gets better and better, and at the end of the day, you improve your work. So good luck, guys, and I hope you do your stuff, cooperate with one another. There would be no free riders in this research endeavor. You cannot let your teammate just do the whole thing. You cannot just submit your written work and just say, oh, ikaw na bahala, tagdagan mo na lang. That is not the way you do research, right? You have to sit down together, plan it together, because if you were going to do it that way, then it would be probably best just to do it by yourself. Okay, so please don't make me do that. Thank you very much.